So they're suggesting high school and middle school?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So that right there in itself during the school year is enough to, I believe, justify
Yeah.
4 or 5 days a week for a school resource officer. That, there are issues that they're mainly seeing, you know, drugs, alcohol, tobacco, pick up and drop off, lunchtime hours during the high school, because it's an absolute rat race down there on Oaks Avenue. For the middle school and elementary school, there's a lot of people out on foot and a lot of steel rushing by at sometimes high speeds.
Yeah.
So it's from what I heard during that meeting, I'm on board with it 100%, for what they said and, you know, what their vision is, and it's very similar to what I have as well.
So, would that resource officer also probably be heading, like, the, drug awareness programs at the middle schools and
Yeah.
at both schools?
Yeah, so that's another thing that they mentioned is, programs with law enforcement. I mean, like Red Lodge Fire Rescue and EMS, they have, I'm not quite sure what the program is called, but the school spoke with me about a little bit like a mentorship program for children that want to get into emergency services. And they thought that it would be advantageous to have a law enforcement mentor, you know, in the same role as well.
Like they have their internship program kind of thing too?
Yeah, yep.
How can you do that with only 7 officers?
I can't, so I'd have to hire another guy.
That's what the school would be,
At least half of the other guy would be funded
by the school,
by the
yeah.
school.
Yeah.
So that,
At least half. I'd like to talk to them about that a little bit more, because I think regarding the school year, personally, I think it should be 75-25. That 25% burden be laid on the city, and the 75%
Right.
burden be laid on the school through their safety budget.
So that kind of brings around, you know, I was reading through this COPS program and all the grants there.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely funding out there to pay for, another officer, especially in regards to, a resource officer, school safety. There's tons of money out there for that type of thing. So I think that, do you have a grant writer on staff?
No, never.
So honestly, I think in your next budget, I really think we need to have a line item for like up to $20,000. I know it sounds like a lot for grant writing.
the whole
because-
city should have that.
Well, no, I just think for a long, I mean, there are so many
There are so
grants
many
in
grants.
here. It's just pages after pages after pages of grants
Right.
that, and it's not like you're hiring, your contract, and you don't have to spend that money, but you're contracting with someone to go out there and write those grants for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was talking to Mitzi,
Check.
yeah, no, Mitzi, Racine, she worked as the assistant planner with Courtney. She actually writes grants for a living.
Oh, okay.
That's why she didn't stay as the assistant planner, because it was just not what
So
she
does,
thought it was.
actually, Jen Battles had
Yeah.
volunteered to write some grants.
Right.
It's funny, I
But-
actually have a meeting with Jen at 9 o'clock
Okay.
this morning.
Yeah, great. So I'm just saying,
Good.
there are people out there that write grants for a living.
Right.
And when I was talking to Mitzi, she was saying that if you budget, you know, like up to $20,000, you can expect to get like $100,000 or more back in grant funding.
Okay.
And some of those grants will actually have money in there for administering the grant.
Administrators, exactly.
So you could get that money back. So, you know, it could be a minimum, it's just, we have to have that seed money.
Sure.
And whether or not we end up using it for a match or something like that too.
Yeah.
But I think that we need to, I mean, I would advocate for that, being on council.
Yeah.
That, you know, if you're not paying for somebody to write the grants, they're not gonna get written.
Correct, yeah. No,
And there's so much money out there, and I think that that could be a huge way to pay for, additional training, especially, for responding to mental health and domestic, you know, sexual violence services calls, which you're probably gonna talk to Jen about. But also, I think it would probably pay 100% of the resource officer.
I think it would too, especially with
And-
today's climate, with
And-
schools.
And if you
Safety.
need, and with the drug, the drug issues, you might be able to get some funding to help pay for the drug dollars. You know, things like that. I
Yeah.
just, and a lot of these, grants are due in May and June. So we're kind of running out of, it's not, you know, we're running out of time. So if we can get some of these submitted this year, that would be great too. But,
It would be nice to have the school, certainly kick in out of their safety budget.
Right.
For partial, for a school resource officer. And I think my two main goals right now are 2 additional officers. One as a school resource officer, and the other, to replace, one of my current existing patrolmen, so he can move on to full-time investigations.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's our only,
So
direction to go,
well, as far as for funding a new officer, yeah.
trying to fund a new officer,
I-
especially for that reason.
Right, absolutely, but I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we still need to get more money into the police department's budget. I mean, it's not, whether,
Yeah, and everybody saw this map,
yes, I did, that's what,
it was kind of massive.
it is.
If it's kind of a shoddy picture, I had to take a photo of a photo, because that map is actually hanging on our wall, and somebody had moved it to a different spot, so I was looking all over for it, and it was right in front of me the whole time.
Yeah, that you see every day.
Yep.
I mean, because you go almost to Belfry, I imagine if you go that far, you probably cover Belfry too, because you're almost there, depending on who's closest.
Yeah, there's a lot of times too where, you know, we already currently will assist on calls in Belfry if requested, normally for higher priority calls like weapons complaints and stuff like that.
Do you actually go out to Matisse?
We've had pursuits go down to TC, yeah.
Oh, that must be nice on the cars.
It happens a lot more than people think. It seems like everybody, when they run, they want to run through TC, so,
Because they think they're not gonna follow, or,
yeah,
I guess.
yeah.
I mean, just looking at this, it's like, oh my God, there's so many places you could be and not in Red Lodge.
Right.
I don't think that that the citizens know how far out our officers actually travel. I should have lightened that up, would have been easier, but,
I can also go and actually take the photo down from the wall and give it to one of you guys.
That's
It might
that's
be-
good enough.
is it? Okay.
Yeah,
I think
hers
you got
is
the
good,
point by looking at that.
Sure.
yeah.
yeah. And you have to put it on a big sheet of paper.
Here's the state of Montana, here
Yeah.
it is.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like, wow.
So, when are you meeting with Jen? At 9?
9 o'clock today,
9,
yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Tonight,
What's that?
tonight?
No,
No,
God, no.
no, You'll be
I'll be
sleeping.
dead asleep by then, yeah.
Yeah.
Good Lord, I can-
Okay.
So do you, could you update me on how that goes?
Yes.
And, I mean, let me know, I'm sure you've seen, like, all of these, I mean, there's just pages and pages of grants.
Yeah.
And I think we would qualify for a lot of them. Like I say, there are some out there too that will absolutely pay for, a new officer, not just a resource officer.
Okay.
Especially when we can show the need, and I think we can use a lot of billing stats to help get that grant, because your first line of defense against billings crime
Well, no,
for our county, for our city,
Yeah.
yeah, not the
I
county.
think
but-
our stats alone would prove that we need more help here.
Yeah.
And, yeah, we are the closest. Okay, as far as annexation, I still haven't pulled the rules under which they were allowed to have our city sewer. And
I see
know-
that's a planning board,
Yeah,
it's on the planning board.
it's on the planning board to determine how to annex,
Mhm,
not whether or not we should annex.
right,
So that's the thing, I know that everyone's telling me that the snow plowing alone is so expensive
Mm-hmm.
because we'd be responsible. When I talked to, Commissioner Bullock, he was saying, you know, that they pay like $300,000, and when the road changes from paved to dirt, I'm going, oh, wait, no, we can only annex the paved portion,
Right, well, and
because the
The-
other portion doesn't have city sewer.
the county doesn't actually plow everything up there. There's a lot of homeowners
It's
associations,
an HOA.
yeah, that are responsible for their own plowing.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and some of that's not necessarily gonna change.
And Woodlands was telling me the same thing, that they spend $100,000 to, pave, and that's just a loop
To pave or?
to snowplow. And I found that really,
No, they don't.
it can't be that much.
No, 'cause when it gets bad, Kelly just goes out there too, and he doesn't charge me. I'm like,
Yeah, so there are
I'm like,
HOAs,
no.
and of course,
There's no way they pay $100,000 because their homeowners association dues are only a couple $100 a year
A
for each
year.
one of those houses.
and there aren't that
I'm like,
many houses.
No. I'm like,
There's
no.
quite a few duplexes.
Kelly
but
doesn't
still.
have that kind of money. He would not be
Actually,
living there.
I need to talk to Jade. I'll talk to Jade and
Yeah.
ask her how much she.
It was like, there for a while, it was like $252 a year, or $300 a year. It was never more, because I was paying it, because I owned that lot that Kelly's house is on.
Oh, okay.
And it was never,
It's the coolest house out there too.
Place
is awesome.
No.
So actually, it's just plowing right now. I mean, sure,
Yeah,
there's gonna be.
well, there's
maintenance.
there's a lift station and stuff like that. I mean, for the dry fire hydrants all have to be serviced. I mean, it includes all of that, and it was like $252 a lot.
And there's taxes on the park,
Yeah,
okay.
and that included all the property taxes, so.
but they're not
there's no-
maintaining the trail to the park, but that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
So it's quite a long trail. And the question then would be, do we annex from Highway 212 all the way into the furthest one, what is that, Woodlands and Great Blue Way? Do we have to take responsibility for part of 2 Mile Bridge Road if we annex Woodlands?
well, the county would still always own the bridge. Even if it's in the city limits, they own the
I don't
bridge.
think the bridge is the issue. I think it's that reverse camber turn, like when you go in and make that turn, it's reverse camber, and that's where the accidents happen.
Well, it would be just as responsible as the county is for it right now. I mean,
Maybe it'd
we
be
would,
a shared responsibility.
I don't know what we'd have to do differently than the county does.
And that would be the question, so I really need to talk to our public works. And I think we have asked them what
You
they
can
think
just do it to the road, you know.
to the
They could leave the road in
Road.
the, yeah, leave the road in the county, because you don't want from the road north, you don't, none of that
Well, we
would
can't have
be.
a little spot. You can't annex just a little spot. It has to be contingent. But
But-
it is contingent because of the sewer ponds right there.
Right. No, I'm just saying, the road goes around the subdivision.
Yeah, Woodlands turns into Great Blue Way and
No, I'm just saying, 2 Mile Bridge Road
curves
never,
around.
does not go into the subdivision
No, it
at all.
does
It's
not.
all north of that. So you just would do south of the road
Yeah,
and not include the road.
yeah. I still need to talk to Public Works to see.
Well, and Mike's working on that for the mayor too, so, yeah.
Okay, good.
So,
So we're not gonna worry about
Yeah.
annexing it yet.
no.
So that's one thing with the annexation. Resort tax to fund another officer?
So, they are gonna do the survey, they definitely, and I guess we'll just wait and see how the survey turns out. I think we're gonna have to get a big change on the survey to get them to come around to putting it up for a vote again. You know, where the survey will have to say, we want to support,
Our public-
public health and safety, both, police and fire. And their main thing is they want it so that, they don't wanna start using the resort tax as a complete funding mechanism for the city for what they consider like everyday expenses, like police, fire, admin, that type of thing. They want it to be more project-based. We have committed $250,000 to water and sewer for, ever, basically, to help fund those projects.
The 1%.
No, this is different. Every year we transfer out of the 3%, we transfer $100,000 for water and $150,000 for sewer. And we've done that since we've had the resort tax, since the very beginning. And it was used to help pay off those bonds that we took out to redo the water system and then the sewer system. And most of those bonds have probably been paid off now because it was 20 years ago, but we're still transferring that money over to help pay for future bonds. It's not necessarily earmarked for a specific bond, but it goes in there.
So they
It's
don't believe,
basically supplementing our water and sewer rates. We don't have to raise the rates anymore
so they think that it being a resort tax, it shouldn't cover resort expenses. That's where I'm going.
Yeah, I get
Resort
it.
tax should cover resort expenses.
I agree with you. But their pushback is that if we keep, if they just open the checkbook up, basically, when does it stop?
And we do
So-
understand that, but they
So-
are covering snow plowing.
They are, yes.
You know, to me, the.
Streets, yeah,
Yeah.
and snow plowing.
Yeah, I mean.
I agree.
They'll purchase police cars, but they won't put anybody in the driver's seat.
Right.
It's the exact same problem as a snowplow,
Right.
so.
Well, my frustration, and I've been to both of you guys via Dave, is I would like to have an income statement, so I can talk intelligently on this money, whether I think it should be spent that way or not. But how much do we spend on what? Who knows?
Well, yeah, and though, I mean, the resort tax budget is out there, and we haven't really spent that much of it yet. We haven't even transferred the $250,000 for water and sewer yet. You know, I think we've spent it was like $400,000 so far, not even $400,000.
And again, who decides and when?
The budget, it's in the budget, the expenditures, and we'll be doing that. Have you submitted your budget yet to the mayor?
The
Yeah,
resort tax
draft budget,
committee
yeah.
The draft
makes
budget?
the decision.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
I need to know people's names.
Well, no, the council, you will be deciding the budget. You'll get to approve the budget.
See, and I brought
When
this
we
up.
get that.
How do you know if a budget is legitimate if you don't know what the actuals are? This is the most asinine thing I've tried to accomplish here.
Well, we'll list the revenue, I know, it's, the budget is the revenues coming in and then your planned expenditures.
Yeah,
And your planned
why can't we
expenditures
see that
aren't,
in a report? Not in the budget, in actual. I mean, isn't that
well, an
make
income
sense?
statement would happen after the fact. So you have to have the budget to make for the following year. I mean, it's just,
No,
I guess
the budget is
not
just that, it's a budget, it's not actual. You know,
Right.
but what you're saying is whether we have the money or not, it's in the budget, so we can pay for it. That's
no, God, no, I'm not saying that at all.
Well, that's what,
Because the resort tax is a prime example of that. We budget our estimate of what we think we're going to get. And we cannot spend it until we get it. And we have a list of higher priority things that we absolutely have to spend it on. And that equals probably $400,000 or $500,000.
What percentage?
And then, well, we budgeted 1.8 million. So we're probably gonna be getting close to 1.5. We always budget high because if we budget under what we actually get, anything over what we actually get, we have to return to the taxpayers as property tax relief. So we always budget high, and then we put our expenses out there, and there's always some ones at the bottom where if we don't get it, we don't spend it. They're not
understand,
priorities.
but you're not gonna convince me that we don't need an income statement.
No, I'm not saying that, no, but I'm just saying,
I mean, this
It's
past
different.
year, the skier visits were down, traffic was down,
right,
resort tax money is gonna be down.
we're at 1.1 million so far, and we're just about to collect
Summer.
this quarter's.
Summer's where you get the big bucks.
This quarter right now will be our, it was all due April 20th. So we'll know where we're at in the next 2 weeks, as far as our total,
Well, I don't wanna spend too
Resort
much
tax.
time on that, the point is an income statement, so I can determine, how do I know the police can't have another person? How do I know that? Why can't we give them money?
Yeah.
Can anybody show me on paper why we can't give the police department more money?
well, if you look at the budget, that's where now the general fund is pretty set. We have a set amount of money coming in, so we can have a set amount of money going out. And that is, I mean, yeah, you can probably, the budget is our estimated, basically, income statement for this next year. But, I mean, you can look at, I mean, I would think they'd be able to do an income statement for this last year to see where we are, but it's not gonna give you the future, like where,
Well,
I think, you know, when you're a business, like I had a print and copy shop, so I had the copies, and I
Mhm.
had income for copies,
Mhm.
and I have expenses for copies.
right,
And so that department needed to cover itself, and then I had the print department in the same deal.
and the,
Same with graphics, every department, we were looking at income, and we were looking at expenses in each department, and then the budget was made. And I think that's what you're trying to get to, is by department, you know, what's happening. We just get a number for budget, and it doesn't really say anything.
well, our,
To me, it's a wish list.
and it technically is, I mean, that's what the departments give their wish list of things that they would like to have for this next year, and then they sit down with the mayor, and he's like, well, this is the amount of money that we're estimated coming in, and this is how we're gonna divvy it up. I mean, that's what the mayor, and the department heads will sit down, and then council will
so
be
as a
able.
council member, I get a number from this department, how do I know that's realistic? How does that compare to last year? How does that compare to actual? Maybe it's just a fancy number.
It is last year's budget, income, actual revenue, and expenses are listed there, next to what this year's budget is. That's, I guess because it does, that's exactly what the budget shows. It shows, it'll have the actual income for the department and the actual expenses for the department.
So if we have the actual expenses
At the
by
end of the year.
department, why can't we report them every month?
Because the city budget is different, we get our money differently than like a business will, I get my money every day.
Well.
And I can run an income
It
statement
doesn't
at
matter if
any
it's a
time.
business, a municipality, any entity, you need to know how much is coming in and how much is going out, plain and simple.
And they do, but
By department.
and they do, but, well, the departments,
By
there's
department.
there's the general fund that pays for the police.
But the police department, they know how much they have to pay out in salaries.
Right.
They have a budget for
He has, yeah,
training,
they have a
whatever.
police
It's all
department.
broken
Yeah,
down
it is.
into what the
Yep.
budget is, right?
Yeah,
And what he's saying is, how much have we spent to date matching, you know, where we are
if
with
I had
the
my
budget?
phone, I would, I mean, 'cause it's on those sheets that Lonnie gives us. It shows like how much we've spent at the end of this month, this year, budget year to date, and
But
how
it's
much
not
is
broken
left,
down.
and how much is, yes, it is.
Is it broken down?
Well,
Yeah, it's broken down by police department and,
The problem is you don't match revenue with all those expenses. You've got another spreadsheet over here that said, here's the revenue over here,
well,
and then the expenses over, but you don't match them up. There's no way of
Well,
knowing.
it shows like the police, it shows the general fund income that we pay the police department out of. It shows our taxes, you know, the property taxes we received, our business license, you know, our fee income. It shows all of that there.
Okay?
And then it shows what was budgeted and where we are in the spending and how I mean, they're right there.
I
What-
imagine.
You're making it, believe me, it's not as simple as you say. Because can you tell me right now how much money that we've made or lost in each one of the 8 or 9 entities that we have?
And we're almost at year end.
We are, yeah. We'll get May property taxes. So,
You know, this may be slightly off. Terry Durbin, since she was on the council, was asking for salary information for the last 3 years, so she could compare it. And, Lonnie took, I think Dave said 4 to 6 hours to give her last year's. And she did a FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, and turns out that Lonnie actually has a program, she could punch it in, and you could get all 3 years. But apparently she didn't know she had that program. So I'm kind of guessing that her computer module, her software probably has something that you're asking for.
yeah,
I assume it does. All the numbers are in there, they're already coded. It shouldn't be that hard
no, I
to
think
spit out the right
I
report.
the
totally
thing is,
agree.
and the thing, I guess what my point is that if you do a monthly income statement, it's not going to be a true
Of course.
financial picture of the city. It's just at that moment in time, because we get our money differently. We don't get it monthly, we get it in big bulk amounts. So if you just do 1 month income statement, you're going to have, it's gonna be a big negative some months and a big positive other months.
But it'll be explainable. Right now, I'll be honest with you, I cannot, as a council person, I can't look at a budget and say, yes, that's a good budget.
The only way you can, I mean, you'd have to do, you know, like at the end of the fiscal year, which is what we got, those financial statements. And I know that they were old, you know,
Exactly.
but, I guess you get those, and then you also have, I mean, Lonnie can give you the balances in all of the accounts.
I think I get that from her bi-monthly on my email.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know how, I believe it's bi-monthly, but,
Do you know where you are?
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
Like, hey, you blew through your overtime already.
Well,
Watch it, you know, or.
That has happened.
I know it has. When you're down to like 4 officers, they're gonna have overtime,
Oh, definitely.
you know, and then that's a thing that the city has to figure out how to pay for that, you know, and they'll make a cut in some other place and transfer, you know, and we'll do a journal entry,
Mhm.
a resolution to transfer it, to pay for that, because sometimes you do go over, you know, and it just happens. But you have to watch, you know, the city has to be aware. I don't know, yeah, did Dave get back to you on that? Okay, so.
Okay, well, that's,
But I do want to, continue working on this public safety district and this 5 mile thing as well. You know, I want us to be working simultaneously on all of
the
these.
problem with the public safety district, according to the county, is they would have to agree, and then there would have to be a group, both county and city, as to how you use that money. So it's not like we're going to get the money ourselves,
Well, I think we still need to look into it.
because this
Yeah.
is an agreement between the two,
Right,
and sometimes they help us and we help them.
yeah, an
So
interlocal
because of
agreement.
that, they were kind of poo-pooing the whole concept, saying that we didn't need it. I mean, we saw the list of how many calls you guys do outside the city is pretty crazy.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's like a set in stone no. I think we need to, pursue investigating it,
What
so.
it would mean.
Yeah.
How it would
Yeah.
work, what it would mean. And again, how much money we might, end up getting from,
Well, what you do is you set how much you're going to need, and then you figure out how much you would have to assess, basically. I mean, that's what the fire department did, that's what what the schools do when they pass the mill levy. They're like, we need, you know, $1 million, so we're going to assess, you know, this
Yeah.
would be the mill levy, please vote for it. Or, you know, we need 300,000, here's the mill levy, please vote for it.
and I'm gonna mirror what Rod said, is first off, yes, we're pulling garbage off of the taxes, but we're adding for the
And I get
stormwater
that.
is gonna go on, and that will offset that.
Yep.
And then they're trying for the ambulance district, that will add to it. And the citizens of the city are gonna say, I already have police protection,
Right.
why should I pay more? And that's what they're gonna say over and over again, why should I pay more?
Yeah, but at the same time, I think that,
I think people outside will be open to it, but not the ones inside the city limits.
well, inside the city, I'm gonna say this out loud, but, inside the city limits, we actually can just create a district and
What do you mean?
you can make,
Can we exclude it from the public safety district?
no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that inside the city limits, you can create a safety district, kind of like an SID, I believe, where you just,
SID is Special Improvement District, I don't think it's for,
but, no, I know. I'm just saying, I think there's a way. I mean, if we can tack on a garbage fee, or we can tack on, you know, we could, you know, it's, you can look, I don't wanna
people
do
know
that.
where I live.
I know, I don't necessarily wanna do that, but I'm just saying that there have been cases where you can create,
Yeah,
You know.
I just,
type of
I'm
thing.
not-
I would rather have I would rather put it to a vote and have people vote on it and say, yes, we want this. The other thing that we can do, and this was brought up in admin and finance, is we can absolutely, pursue the petition to annex the city into the Red Lodge Rural Fire Department, and that would free up $300,000 in our general fund.
And I've never understood why it isn't.
We can do that. As public safety, we can pursue that if you, so want to. We have to petition, we can write the petition, we can mail it out. It goes to the property owners, not the voters. They vote, they just say, yes, I want to be annexed into Red Lodge Rural Fire Department and have their fire protection. And basically then the Red Lodge Rural Fire charges them on their property taxes for fire protection. And so basically, it is, in essence, a tax increase because the property tax owner is paying for the fire protection.
But
Direct.
doesn't the city owe them fire protection?
This does away with that.
And that's okay?
A lot of places do it. So Bear Creek does it now,
Well,
and, yeah. So,
Red Lodge EMS currently, it seems like they respond countywide anyways.
they do,
Yeah.
yeah, of
Job,
course,
Yeah, they do.
yeah,
what are you gonna do, turn it down? Yeah.
They cannot, no.
yeah,
Neither would we.
right.
I really like that direction.
So, I mean, that is, I mean,
Get rid of the
the
mill
mayor, the only, thing the mayor wants us to be honest about it is that this is, you know, your city property taxes will not go down. You know, this is you paying, and it's based on your, I believe it's based on your property value. So, you know,
It's
it's
a mill base?
yeah, like whatever they assess. Like that.
It's pretty easy to see. We can look at a county tax
Yeah,
bill
and I
see
think
what
you
they
have to
assess.
have 60% of the total number of property owners in the city of Red Lodge, including commercial, have to sign the petition and say they want to do that, and then it's done. And I would be happy to, I mean, I can get the info from Tom.
Because that's really interesting. Well, you can pull any county tax bill and see what they're paying, how many mills they're paying.
Yeah.
I assume it would be the same.
It's not a county tax bill so much as it is, like Bear Creek would be a prime example. Because they didn't have fire protection at all, you know, then they were over that 5-mile radius, you know, so-
They're in this pipeline.
yeah. But, they're over the 5-mile line, so they were, for insurance company purposes, they're considered unprotected. Because it's over 5 miles to the fire department, and they didn't have their own fire substation there. They didn't have really fire protection, so they did this so that they could.
And we don't have our own fire substation?
Our fire station is within the city limits of Red Lodge,
So we do have it.
but it's not ours,
Exactly.
right? But we contract with them for fire protection right now.
Which is the mills.
So, yeah, so I really
There's some
think,
more investigation with that. That's
Yeah.
I know we've talked about it, the last city council talked about it as well.
right, we did, and we were gonna move forward with it, but Tom had asked us not to do it until they had their vote on the ambulance district, which didn't pass, so, because he didn't want it confusing the issue. But, I think it's time to move forward and see if we can get enough signatures on that petition. Because, you know, $300,000 would go a long way in our general fund to help pay for another officer as well. And
It would
to
free
give
up quite a
some,
bit.
raises.
Yeah.
there.
I like that.
So, we will.
Okay, public outreach. I don't know, is that basically asking the public what they'd like to discuss?
Well, that would be, I guess, to me, that's more about, you know, all over Facebook, every time the fire trucks go out, there's pictures of them. showing all the great things they do. So I know you, I guess I just want, our police department does a lot of really great things for our community.
I just did a
And-
press release for
Yeah.
a fugitive capture that my
I
swim
saw-
ship had, yeah.
Yeah, so it's things like that, I
I'm trying,
think.
yeah, I can
I
only
think-
discuss so much, so.
I know you can.
It's really
It's like-
difficult. I mean, I would love
Yeah.
to sit down and tell war stories about ongoing stuff, but
Yeah, I understand.
if it's like currently like in the investigative process, there's very little, if anything, that I can speak about.
Yeah, but yeah, things like that, I think that's great, you know, and
I still think
just,
that ride-along program is a great way to let the public know.
well, and then maybe we need to, create a press release like that.
Mhm.
You know, are you curious about what our patrol officers do on a day-to-day basis, you know?
Mhm.
Come do a ride-along, sign up for a ride-along with, you know. And also, you know, public outreach too. I mean, I sell the ice cream machine, so if you wanna give away, some free coupons if kids are wearing helmets on their bikes, I'll give them some ice cream.
That'd be great, yeah.
So it's stuff like that, you know? And, do you participate in the, bike rodeo and stuff? Do they still do that at the
They
school?
still do it, yeah.
We still do it.
It's coming up. It's, the Red Lodge Interact Club, the Rotary Interact Club is doing it. I know
Yeah.
that they're all set up. I forgot the date, but, I know that that's somewhere in my phone.
And I bet, you know, I wouldn't,
Are you guys going to be there for that?
If we're invited, yeah.
okay, yeah. But I bet, other businesses too would donate things as well for kids too. So, you know, I know Trent and Tracy, M&S bought the soda hole, you know, maybe they could give some little coupons out or something like that too, and,
That's another thing too that ties into the SROs, that bike program and stuff like that, like all the youth and community activities that have some affiliation with children in the schools would fall under their
Right.
responsibilities.
yep,
Which would be great.
yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's what I guess I was talking about with public outreach, like, let's brainstorm some ways so we can get some good publicity, so people know you guys are out there and not just the bad guy in the, you know, it's like, oh my God. Kids are having a kegger, they got
Guys gotta
busted,
stop somewhere.
you know? I don't even know if they have keggers anymore, I don't even know if you can buy a keg anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. I'm old.
It's normally like a county thing though.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Little party.
So we did too, up the canyon.
Yeah.
Like, oh, bless word.
Right. And then they flood into Red Lodge
Yeah.
when everybody runs.
I know, it's like, yeah. And then also, I did have, a quick question for you. I think it's really cool and everything, and this probably goes to land use and planning with your event land use application, but, they're showing Ghostbusters at the movie theater, and
Yeah.
and it's been parked in the city right away throughout this whole time, so that's basically using city land.
Mhm. He came
For-
in and attempted to purchase a permit to do
Oh,
that.
that's what I was wondering.
And they told him that they didn't have a permit that fit that.
That's what I was thinking,
So he called me.
so I think, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm saying we need to address that, and create a permit, like a parking permit for advertising for a business if they're gonna do a little special event like that, like they're showing Ghostbusters and wanna park the
Agreed.
Ghostbusters, you know, like, whatever, like
All we have to
for,
do is move it 2 feet
well, no, but
every 3 days.
I don't wanna have to do that. I want, if someone wants to be able to do some type of promo for their business and they're gonna park there for like 5 to 7 days, charge them $5 a day, charge them $10 a day, you know?
Yeah.
So, because it's use of city-owned land, it's a city right-of-way, we want everyone to be treated equally, and, you know, I want people to be able to do things like that.
Yeah.
It's not city-owned land.
It is. It was a city right-of-way, and it falls under our event, if you read our event application, it is under that.
Because it's MDT.
Yeah, but it's still, it's under city control, no.
Yeah, we issue municipal citation on that road.
Yeah.
Notice, DOT.
Yeah.
The city right of way will enforce the municipal code on that street.
So,
Based on right-of-way.
so I think if we could just add a quick, application or something like that for that type of thing, I think that would be, good.
Hi.
hey Chris, how are you? Just so if people, so, you know, he tried to do the right thing and there was nothing
Nothing to give him.
nothing to give him, so now he's breaking the law because he's been parked there for 5 to 7 days or whatever, you know, technically. So let's make some type of, add that to the, might be a third application, you know, just for use of, parking in front of, you know, your business or a
We're
house.
gonna be talking about using the event application as event, not necessarily use of city-owned land, making one application. Some of them to be an event and some of them to be use of city-owned land. So maybe that would fall into there too.
Right,
So you only have one and you just have boxes you can check.
right. Yep.
So
But
that-
obviously, you're not gonna charge them, you know, $500 to park his vehicle in front of the Roman Theater.
I'm
You know,
just
or,
trying to
or
think
any
of-
business, like if they, you know, if the ice cream, if Scoops reopens and they wanna have a big ice
They're
cream
not
truck in
going
front,
to.
they're not?
It's been sold.
Oh, it has? Well, I know it's been sold. Oh, thank you.
I gotta excuse myself.
Yes,
from the meeting,
thank
Jen.
you so much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Appreciate
See
it.
you,
Bye-bye.
good luck.
Yeah.
See how it goes. Okay,
I think that we're actually done early.
we are. I need to pick up my phone, 'cause it's driving me crazy. I left it at home.
Yeah, you gotta rush home and get your phone.
When you texted me, I could have phoned back for you. Oh.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
You have somebody else next week.
I know.